Hi everyone, and welcome back again to the Live Life Well Summit. I am your host, Amy Leong, and I am so grateful to everyone who has been tuning in over the last day and a half. And so we are in the third main session for the summit. If you are watching us live here on Facebook or on YouTube, please let me know and say hi in the comments. It's always lovely as a presenter to actually be speaking to people in the room, and I know it's all virtual at the moment, but it's still nice to be able to interact with you. And this is going to be a bit more of an interactive session. If we haven't met before, well, hi, Michelle. Thank you for joining. It's always nice, like I said, to be able to talk to someone rather than just be speaking to an empty room. But let me just make sure I've got all my notifications turned off. I just heard a little bing. So there we go. All right. So I won't go too much in the introduction because if you're watching this, you would have seen a little bit of my background. But I'm going to be talking about the topic of social wellness. So this was really off the back of the fact that we, in at least Melbourne, have been living in a state of lockdown, in lockdown, out of lockdown for almost 2 years. It feels like it's been a long time. And I was starting to have some conversations with people around how we were going to reintegrate into socializing in person again. And I also noticed in myself, and you can let me know in the comments as well. And if you're watching on the replay, remember, #replay. But I was actually a bit nervous about heading back into in-person meetings, and was also noticing a bit of anxiousness and worry about like, how do we even do this? It's been so long. So let me know if you had those types of feelings as well, or if you were, gung ho, yes, let's socialize. Because I think that it's just important to recognize that how we feel is relevant, and they're indicators for our body to show us what it means, what's going on, what can we dig underneath the surface to get to the core of why we're feeling what we're feeling. So it's I've got Michelle, who's actually said she wasn't nervous, but fallen into a can't be bothered mode. Oh, okay. That is interesting as well. So thanks for sharing that perspective. We've also got Lily and Michelle Archibald who've joining us live. Yes, and I can see a few other viewers. If you're on StreamYard, if you're ever behind the scenes, you can actually see how many people are watching. So if you are watching there, then please say hi to us in the chat. All right, so like I said, that was the reasoning behind actually doing this session, because I personally was feeling anxious, and I was hearing about other people feeling anxious, and I was like, okay, well, let's talk about it. If you have read the description, sorry, I'm having some tech issues. There we go. All right. If you have read the description of this post, I have said that I'm going to be sharing on 3 particular topics. One is, how do we build a supportive community around us, particularly when we're experiencing transition and change? Secondly, how do we build a superstar network? And I'll explain a little bit about what that is and why it might be something you want to think about and engage in. And then third, we're going to be talking about relational boundaries as well. Okay. So let's just start with a supportive community. So as some of you know, I recently resigned from practicing law in a full-time or permanent capacity. And that decision in and of itself was challenging for various reasons, as you can imagine. And I really did have to rely on the supportive network around me. So firstly, there was my husband, which I'm very grateful for his support. There were my parents, but I will say, coming from an Asian background, I was a bit hesitant to let them know that I was quitting a secure job with no plan B at the time. So they have since become very supportive, and my in-laws are as well. And obviously there's like the friends and the family around other members of my community that were also very helpful and congratulated me upon making that decision, as opposed to judging and I guess like questioning my decision. And so I know that this is not necessarily the case for a lot of people. There have been some people who've said to me, "Oh, you are so brave. You're so courageous. I could never do what you did." And I think in some ways, one of the factors might actually be because of the feelings of, look, no one's going to support me in my decision. What am I doing? How could I even make those decisions? And having the right people around you to support you when you're making those big transitional decisions is what I believe and what I've experienced to be the key to my success, or being able to actually move past the fear and step into a level of faith. So I wanted to actually take you through an exercise. So I'm actually going to be putting my coaching hat or mentor hat on in this presentation. And so it's going to be a little bit more reflective. I'm going to pose some questions for you to think about how you can build a supportive network and, supportive community around you. All right, so who's ready? Yes? Put up your hand. Let me know in the comments if you're ready. And I'm going to get started. Okay, so the first question I want to pose for you is, who is the person, or think about the person that you want to be in 10 years' time? And I know it is like, given, COVID situation and pandemic, a lot of people have been very hesitant to plan ahead or even think about the future. But I think that when we actually don't think about the future and we just let life happen to us, then that's also sometimes when there's a lack of intentionality, things can build up and we're not actually living into or stepping into the things that our heart's desires, or the purpose or the values that we hold dear as well. So the question again is, think about the person you want to be in 10 years from now? So I'd love, again, a little bit of interaction. So after you've had a bit of a think, put that into the chat for me or the comments. And if you're, again, watching on the replay, please do the exercise as well. Like, don't skip this, because I think there's some important things that we can do and kind of work out together. All right, so I'll give you a moment and I'll just take a sip of water while I'm waiting. All right, so the person that you want to be 10 years from now, who is that person? What does she look like? What does he look like? I know for me, 10 years from now, I'm going to be, and I'm going to be honest and transparent, I'm going to be 43 years old. So, and my hope at 43, and sometimes we're even hesitant to even say these things because we think, what will happen if it doesn't happen? And my counter question to that is, what happens if it does happen the way that you hoped? What a way to speak into your future and to also declare things that you have not seen yet as if they were. And that in itself is an element of faith. And I think regardless of what your religious background or faith background, your beliefs system is, we all actually operate in a level of faith to a certain extent or not. Faith is believing in the things that have yet to come, and also faith is believing in things that you don't fully understand, but choose to trust anyway. So that went in a particular direction that I was not intending. But all right, so again, if you're watching on the replay or if you'd like to share your answers in the comments, you can. If you're not, that's okay. So for me at 43, my hope is that I'll have a few kids by then that will be able to win in a non-COVID world, be able to travel the world and be able to work when I want, for who I want, at a price where I am valued, and knowing my worth, being able to impact nations, to be able to sow into organizations, to be able to put money down if money is requested for emergency relief, being able to have the freedom and flexibility to, like I said, just jump on a plane whenever I want and to travel somewhere to speak or to train, to help others to live life well and to actually see change, cultural change, happen in organizations, particularly in corporate environments, so that we don't have to have burnout anymore. That burnout is actually something of the past, that organizations are moving towards a holistic approach to their staff members, those kind of things. That is my vision for 10 years from now. Okay, so we've also got Michelle, who's been so kind to share. She said, I want to be a kind, understanding, supportive wife, mother, grandmother, and friend, and a sense of purpose, trusting in God with my future. Thank you for sharing. And also wanting to make a difference in this world. Yes. And I think the fact that you're here, that you're already starting to put those building blocks in when it comes to actually being in that space of making a difference. So thank you for that. Now that you've thought about this, about who you want to be and how you want to show up and present in the world, the second question is, who are the people you can learn from who are doing the things that you want to do or you want to be? So that's the second question. Just repeat one more time. Who are the people you can learn from who are doing the things that you want to do or to be as well? So that is, something to think about. I know that there are people in my life that I look up to, that I say, hey, I want to be like that. One of the people, one of the one of the people, yeah, one of the people that I want to be like when I get older is a mentor of mine, and someone that I have the privilege to be on his team is John Maxwell. So he is actually 75, I think, this year, and when he was 65, he decided that he wanted to pass on his legacy to other people and train more coaches. And so in the last 10 years, he has actually developed a team of over 40,000 people who trained to coach and to speak and to train others in the leadership development skills and personal development skills and team building skills that he has been teaching for decades all around the world. And just as a side note, him and I think about 185 or so people are currently in the Dominican Republic, bringing about transformation and change on request by the government or on invitation by the government. So that is someone who I really want to be like and want to aspire to be. So if there's someone who comes to mind, you can definitely share that in the chat as well. And again, because this is an interactive session, I am going to be sharing some of your answers so that people who watch it on the replay and may not have the chat can also see what's been happening. So I'm just going to share another answer. So we've got Michelle Thornton, who said that in 10 years, she'll be 62. So her hope is to be a homeowner, serving on long-term overseas mission, working in an area where I'm able to help and encourage each other and take overseas holidays at the same time. I like that dream. So thanks for sharing. All right. Okay, and so we've got... yeah, Michelle, who says John Maxwell is amazing. I think so too. Okay, so we've covered those first two questions. The third question that I want you to think about, if you've got someone in mind that you admire, that you aspire to be like, have a think of what are some ways that you can actually engage in a very real and tangible way with them directly. Do they have a community right now that they want, that they can open up to you, or maybe they've already opened it up and you can plug into that community? Because the interesting thing that I've learned on my journey of about 25 years plus of leadership is that community and the people around you will actually be what takes you to that next level. Because when you've probably heard birds of a feather flock together, and like attracts like, meaning that if you want to be a certain type of person, then you also need to be in a community of people that are like-minded as well, because they will help lift you up when you feel like you're not living up to your values, and they will also encourage you by their testimonies and how they live their life as well. So I've got a classic example for you that's actually very real, like very relevant as of today. I am in a community with a lady called Rachel Luna, who's based in the States, and Michelle Thornton is part of that community as well. And on the call, we had a journaling session together, and Michelle, you've got to go back and listen to that one when you can. There was a lady called Courage, and she was talking about how she had done a launch, I think, in 10 days and been able to fill her mastermind completely. And that was the equivalent for her of about $40,000 in 10 days. And for me, that was so encouraging, because I was like, oh, sometimes you hear these stories of people who have been able to book in, and bring in clients. And I will say for her, for those who are faith followers, it was actually a Bible-based course or mastermind that she was doing. So that's actually really impressive, because I think sometimes even as church-going people, we can be a little bit stingy, or feel like things should be given for free and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that was a really encouraging thing for me personally to see. And I think it's an opportunity for you when you're in those communities to actually see what other people are doing and learn from them, and also get energized by the things that they are doing as well. So that's why it's important to think about the people that are around us and how can we actually get into those communities, because that's how you'll grow. So we've also got Michelle, who said Lisa McKinnon Smith is someone she looks up to, telling stories to encourage each other. And then Christine Kane, she inspires me to get involved in the areas of human trafficking. Yeah. So it's good. Like, it's good to just have a think about who are the people and how can you actually plug into those communities. Because sometimes we think that we're a lone wolf sitting over here, like we have all these dreams and ambitions, and like, you know, it can feel very isolating, particularly if you're a person or you're a woman of purpose, woman who's on a mission, and a woman who wants to be a positive influence in the world. So I really think that in order to build, you know, your supportive community or find your supportive community, some people call it find your tribe, there's those 3 questions that you can go back to in time if you are watching on the replay or do it later. Is, yeah, think about the person you want to be in 10 years time. Who are the people that reflect that type of person that you want to be? And then what are they doing? Like, where are those people and how can you be amongst them? And then plug into those communities. And sometimes that may mean actually investing, like putting some money down, because I know personally, like every time I've invested in a community or I've invested in a program or something like that, I know I have personally up-leveled, because any kind of investment will always, if you put in the work as well, I should say, will always bring about fruit that is in alignment of what you want to do, if it's the community that's going to be aligned with that future version of who you are. So I love quotes. So if someone, either of the Michelles, you can type this in the chat just so that people can get it as well. The quote to help you remember this particular point around building a supportive community is, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So if someone can type it in the chat for us, and then I'll display it up there. You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And that is by Jim Rohn, Rohn. So that is, I'm a person who loves quotes. So I'm going to put a quote at the end of each of these sections, so that it will hopefully help cement a little bit about what it is that I'm hoping you can take away from this session. All right. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you. All right. So you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Okay. So we've got it there. Let's move on. So the second thing that I wanted to share about in terms of your social wellness and the person that you want to be, and how can we have a healthy social network? How can our relationships be healthy and actually life-giving? Is to build your superstar network. Why do I say superstar? Because if you look at the speakers that we have actually in this summit, they are all superstars in their own right. And they are all people who are top of their game, are women on a mission, women on a purpose. And I have actually had the privilege of being friends with some of those ladies for at least, I know with Renee, who I think is the person I've known the longest in that group, for at least over 3 years, 3 years now. And we started out in a community, in a coaching program together. And we, really resonated with a lot of what our mutually shared values were. And so we've become friends since then. I think I've shared most of the story behind like how I have met each of these speakers. I think the person that I have known the least time of is Amy Bateman, who you'll be hearing from tomorrow morning. And she's from Pleasant State, but I met her through someone I know from law school. So that's Stella, who also joined my gym. So, you know, there's all these like mutual like connections, and this superstar network that I've been able to build around me is something that I think is very important when it comes to my social wellness, and something that I want to help you build as well. Because I've had people actually, when they heard that I was running this summit, actually asked if they could speak at the summit. And I had to politely let them know that, firstly, I'd already filled my speaker lineup. But secondly, and something I probably haven't mentioned to people who've asked me specifically and requested whether they could be part of the summit, what I had said to them is that it's not really something that I can give them a platform for, because I haven't built that trust yet. When you're hosting a space like this, there is a level of responsibility, and particularly if I've met someone for the first time, I'm not going to just give them a platform, because I really value this community and I want to make sure that you are going to be given information that's going to help you move forward, but also that you won't be given things that I personally don't agree with and I can't endorse, basically. So that's why it's important to have that network that is in alignment to your purpose, in alignment to your values. Now, this is not to say that you have to be on the same page with everything. Like, for example, I'm a person of faith. Not all the speakers are people who would say that they have a faith background, and that's okay. Like, I feel like we can learn from anyone, no matter what their belief system is. There's always something you can learn from other people. But like I said, this network that I've built did not happen overnight. It took time to nurture those relationships. And I just wanted to give and share a few tips around how to actually build your superstar network, where you've got people in your circles where you are all kind of moving forward in your various directions, and you can actually leverage in a positive way off each other. So you can actually help build their profiles or help elevate them to a place of influence in your circles in the same way that they can do the same for you as well. So 3 tips that will help you build your social wellness when it comes to building your superstar network. And the first one is start supporting rather than asking. Okay, so this is pretty basic, but for example, like I said, the person that I'm thinking of who specifically asked if they could speak at my summit, and it was basically one of the first meetings that I had with them, and I was really kind of taken aback. I'm like, you're already asking me for something when I haven't even, like, I don't know you, for one. And then secondly, how can I trust you? Like, you haven't supported me in any shape or form and you're already asking something from me. So I think trying to actually work out how can you support that person first, before you go around and asking for them to give you some leverage or for them to help you out with something. So in the online space, because this is a virtual summit, one way or a couple of ways in which you can actually support people for free, you don't even have to sign up to a program or anything like that, is to comment on their posts if they're sharing on social media. Very simple things, liking their posts for things that resonate with you, resharing, letting them know how much their content has meant to you, if it's something that's meaningful, and also, like I said, resharing, but also giving them feedback as well, like positive feedback in the shape of reviews or things like that. I think that's a really good way in which you can actually start building that superstar network. So that's the first one. Second point is that it takes time. Maybe this is a very basic point to make, but if, like I said before, relationships take time. They do not grow overnight, and it takes patience to actually be nurturing in those relationships as well. So, and again, just very basic things, but remembering people's birthdays and like celebrating their birthdays is a way in which you can show that person that you want to be connected with, that you care and that you look after them. And it's not to try to have an ulterior motive to every single thing that you do, being like, oh, if I do this, then I'll get that, but more thinking from the perspective of how can I be a person who is caring of that particular individual, and how can I actually lift them up at a time that maybe you don't know. Like I know that I occasionally think of people and in my life, and they may not be a birthday, they may not be a special occasion, but I'll be like, oh, I thought of them today, so I'll send them a text, or I will send them, something in the post, or send them an email or something to let them know that I'm thinking of them. And it's all those little small incremental acts of kindness that I think goes a long way, rather than just trying to push your way into a relationship with someone that, again, no level of trust. Like, why would they want to spend time with you or want to give them their pearls of wisdom, for example? So that's the second point. And actually, I think I had a few more, so I'm just going to run through them because it's getting a bit long, this presentation. So final points to help you build your superstar network is to find out what they like, and again, it's not to be manipulative or things like that, but it just shows that you care, and you can put that into your conversation, or like, I noticed that you talked about this person on your post, I've read their books, etc., and starting those conversations that way. Remember the small details, like I said, birthdays help, or if they've got children, like remembering their names, bring that into conversation. And the final one, which is probably pretty obvious through the summit, is to collaborate. I find that collaboration is actually the best way to build your network, because if you're a business owner, for example, or you're wanting to be elevated in positions of influence, the best way is to actually do things together. So for example, this summit, I have my lovely 6 speakers, plus our charity partner, Destiny Rescue, where we had Michaela, who spoke earlier today. And she, I found out about Destiny Rescue through a Light FM, or like the Light business network. And so that was another way, like plugging into different networks can help you find, the gold, or find the people who resonate with your message and the things that you are passionate about. So collaborating, and also, of course, like not only with our speakers, but we also have sponsors as well as part of this summit. And how I went about getting sponsorship for this summit, that's free. And I think I only started really planning this in September. So I seem to have like really short time frames, but you can actually get people on board when you can share with them why it might be helpful and what's the mission that you are putting forward. So I shared with them, I said, the Live Life Well movement is about ending burnout culture. We want to help people learn to thrive and not just survive, to burn bright and not out, to be that world changer in a sustainable way, and to be able to change the world around us. So I shared that vision with them, and a lot of people, and the ones who resonated with it, said yes, and they were completely on board, and they wanted to offer their services. So it's having those conversations, having the confidence to put yourself out there and have those conversations, and that hopefully are some helpful tips for you to think about when you are building your superstar network. All right, final point, and we've got some really exciting news at the end, so I want to make sure we have some time for that, is around relational boundaries. So I won't spend too much time because a lot of this is practical and maybe already quite self-explanatory, but I think it still warrants a little bit of attention as well. So here are some steps that you can think about when it comes to drawing some relational boundaries, and let me know in the comments if you've had, experience with doing this already. Number one, particularly now that we're more in person and we're starting to engage more, think about the first one is to sit down and work out how much time you have. Okay, so I've noticed that when I was in lockdown, it seemed like there was plenty of time, that we had lots of time. And then once I started socializing, I was like, ooh, I'm getting tired, or like, this is actually a lot more stimulus than I'm used to. And so I was actually feeling very worn out. So it's important to actually incrementally ease into the socializing so that you don't burn out. I definitely had moments. So no judgments if you're finding that as well. But like I said, sit down and work out how much time you have based on the responsibilities you have and the things that you need to do for work or for your family, and start there. And then number two is, how much time do you want to give away? Because obviously every time that you say yes to something, you're also saying no to something else. And sometimes you're saying no to yourself. And we're all about self-care here and making sure that we're creating space for self-care. So I want to just, again, just seed the thought and help you to think about the quote, I should say, for this particular section is, when you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. So perhaps if one of the Michelles, you can put that in the chat so we can share that. And I think I missed out the quote for the second part, but I'll come back to it later. All right, so just to recap, relational boundaries. Number one, sit down, work out how much time you have. Number two, how much you want to give away. How much time do you want to give away? And then number three, who do you want to give it away to? So again, thinking about the relationships that are valuable and the ones that you want to prioritize. So Michelle Thornton, I know you have a daughter, so I know you want to prioritize that relationship and put her first above other ones. And then the fourth point is something I've already mentioned before, which is ease into it. Okay, ease into the socializing or reintegrating social activities again, and give yourself a lot of grace, because I know that it's not anything that we are doing that's different is going to take some time to get used to again. So if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling that overwhelmed, then just, maybe it's time to just take a break. And that's one of the things I did in the preparation for the summit. Actually, there was a day I remember waking up and I was like, I feel really tired right now, and I don't think I can be meeting with anyone. So I actually had to make the call to actually cancel a whole bunch of appointments that day, and be okay with it and be like, you know what, I need to prioritize my health and I need to make sure that I'm my best person so that I can be the best version of me for others as well. So hopefully that is helpful. And yes, someone has helped me out, Michelle Archbell. So the quote for point number three is, when you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. So think about what you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to, because there's always an opposite when it comes there. And I should just go quickly back to point number two. Sorry for being a little bit all over the place. But a superstar network, the quote that I wanted to put in there for a reminder is, your net worth is your net work, or the other way. So your network is your net worth, meaning the value of your network is actually, in many ways, how much of a value you have accumulated as well. For example, if we are in a group of people who have, say, if one person has 25 years of experience in leadership, for example, and then another person has 25, another person has 25, then altogether, who can do maths? We're talking about 75 years worth of experience, because even though you may have lived at the same time as those people, their experiences will be different to yours. And so being able to draw on each other's experience is a way in which you can really kind of move to that next level, because you're being able to leverage on other people's experience. So thank you, Michelle, for adding that in. So your network is your net worth. So hopefully those 3 quotes can kind of just be little, I guess, flags for you in this presentation. And as part of that, I wanted to invite you now into another frame of mind to think about. So we're talking about net worth, and we're talking about your network. And there is obviously a great network that we're building and a great community that we're building here in the Live Life Well movement. And I want to thank you, particularly the people who are tuning in right now, Michelle Thornton, Michelle Archbell. You guys are such valuable members. Valuable members of our Live Life Well movement. And particularly with both of you, I should just say that you have been sharing your wellness tips through the challenge that we were doing, 13 days of wellness. That's been encouraging for me, and I'm sure it's encouraging for other people as well. So we have an opportunity to keep growing this movement, and also there are some opportunities, particularly for those who are watching and who want to grow in their leadership skills, because I think if we want to be people of influence, a person of influence is a leader. And whether you consider yourself a leader by title or not, we all are, because we have all walked a path, and there are people behind us who will be looking up to us, or there's something that we can teach to someone else. So with that in mind, I'm really excited to announce publicly for the first time that there is a leadership half-day experience. Again, it's going to be virtual, but it's a virtual summit half day that's happening in January that I have the privilege to be hosting or co-hosting with another John Maxwell team member. So this person actually approached me. He's based out of Canada, and we were doing our certification training back in August, September. And I got into conversation. Hey, this is the power of networking as well. And I was wanting to get some information on this particular leadership summit. And after I had asked some questions and things like that, he reached out to me personally and say, hey, I've got the license to share this with you if you'd like, and we can co-host this leadership summit together. And so I'm really excited to share with you. I'm going to actually share my screen now so that you, whoever's watching live right now, you're getting the first information around this. So hopefully this is going to work. So I'm going to share my screen and just, enjoy and watch this.
Every one of you have a journey to take. Your first step is your most important step. You don't go up to the top. You grow up to the top. You are one decision away from shifting your life from where it is right now to a totally different place.
So often our setbacks are setups. It's just hard to see it at the time.
What if you interrupted that pattern of thinking and simply said, what do I want? That takes your energy and focus off of the problem and begins to focus you on a solution.
Success is a series of steps, not one giant leap.
Commitment will get us to the starting line. Consistency will get you to the finish line.
You were born. You were created for your life to count.
Hey, all right. I got inspired just watching that. So live to lead. So just a little bit of a background. So as John Maxwell team members, we get an opportunity to host certain events around the world on behalf of John Maxwell. And as far as I know, at the moment, there is no one in Australia who is hosting a Live to Lead virtual day leadership summit. So it's a huge privilege to be the exclusive person in Australia right now who is hosting a public event. So this is open to public, and it will be happening on, and you can mark this in your diaries, you'll get more information about this, but on the 29th of January. So you can mark your calendars. It's going to be a half day. So it's going to start pretty early in the morning so that we can kind of be finished by lunchtime. But it's going to be a very new experience for all of us to embark together. And it's actually going to be a lot more interactive, and you'll get a lot more opportunities to network with people who are in that space of leadership and learn from these amazing experts. You heard little snippets of that. I'll just share with you one of those speakers who I think I might have shared about on Instagram, but her name is Jamie Lee Kerma. I always say her name wrong, but look her up because she has a fantastic story. She wrote the book Believe It, and she was someone who started her makeup company in her living room, and then a number of years later sold her company to L'Oreal for $1 billion, if I am correct. So it's just, she has an amazing story of resilience, and she'll be one of a number of speakers at this half-day virtual summit. And I'm just, like I said, I just feel so privileged to be able to host it for you, along with my now friend, Elle Rutten, who is based out of Canada. So I will share with you the link later to purchase tickets. So this is a paid event, okay? So we've been in a space in this Live Life Well movement summit. It's been free, and I have also received some donations. So thank you to those who have actually, instead of just signing up for a free ticket, have actually donated to help us continue to build this movement forward. And but like I said, the Live to Lead Summit will be a paid event. I believe the tickets are $79. And it's a half day. So you might think, oh, $79, but trust me, it will be worth your while. And who knows, you might actually find someone in the networking space that we're going to create that may be actually your powerful and superstar network member. So who knows? I'm really excited about that. And in the last couple of moments, I also just want to talk to you as that next step. Because I have the floor at the moment. I wanted to just start, and yeah, $79 is a bargain, like Michelle said. So yeah, I think it's, like I said, we talked about how our network is our net worth. You've got billionaires who are going to be speaking to you, people who have years and years of experience, both in the not-for-profit space as well as the business space. So yeah, highly recommend it. Make sure you sign up. You can be the first people to sign up here if you're watching this live. And the final thing that I wanted to share as well is because this summit experience is going to be one of those things that I hope we can continue in the new year. But I have also been given, I think, a vision for what this summit can be more of in a concentrated level, if that makes sense. Because I think that, we've got about 238 people who are in the Facebook group, which is awesome. I think we've doubled in size since the first summit. But there is such value of being able to sit in a smaller group and actually work through things like our values, things like our purpose, and actually be able to journey together in a smaller capacity. And so, again, I'm going to be sharing something that I haven't shared anywhere else. And I was working on it today. It's still not complete, but there's the bare bones of something that I think is going to be really powerful. And I, again, get the privilege to share with you live right here on this call right now, something that I've been working on. So perhaps we'll do a drum roll. If you're in home, you can help me drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. And I'm going to share my screen. We have the Burn Bright Base Camp program that's starting in 2022. Something that has been on my heart for some time, and basically opening up a wait list for this, because I have obviously moved out from corporate into now coaching. And as much as I love running the summit and hosting the summit, it's actually coaching that is where my heart is. And I wanted to help women in particular who are feeling that overwhelm, feeling stressed, feeling like there's so many things to do and not enough time to do it in, and help you move from those places of burnout, which, again, I've experienced before, into a life of ease. And you can read some of the copy there. Life of ease into massive alignment with your passions and values in 2022. And it's going to be called the Burn Bright Base Camp. And why do I call it a base camp? I don't know if anyone enjoys climbing, but if you're climbing a mountain of some sort, you have to start at the bottom. You got to start with the foundational aspects of what it looks like to climb a mountain. In this case, we're talking about the foundations of what it means to be a woman who is burning bright, and her light is actually going to bring warmth and give life to those people around her as well. So it is designed with a 3-part pillar, or 3 core pillars. So the first pillar is going to be around purpose and values. And I think for most people who are on this live at the moment, you've probably already gone through some of these exercises before. But I think with the fact that we're constantly evolving as a person, it's always good to kind of have that time to reflect and start and look at, what are my values right now as a 33-year-old, as a 40-something-year-old or 60-year-old. What is it that drives me, and how can I then start making sure or evaluating whether my life in different aspects is actually aligning to that greater mission and vision that I have for my life. So it's the first core pillar. The second one is around tools and techniques. So obviously, once you know what it is that your purpose and your value is, then we will talk about, how can we start actually build in those habits that are going to actually support you in reaching your goal and your vision for your life. So things I've mentioned there: affirmations, visualization, scripting, all those kind of things. Again, this is foundational stuff, so you might already have gone through it. If you're already in that personal development space, maybe it's going to be more of a refresher rather than new things. But I have also found as well, just as a caveat, is that we've always got new things to learn. And I think that if you go in with that growth attitude and growth mindset, then there's always something that you're going to pick up. And finally, kind of alluded to this already, the mindset and thought work. So if you have also been in that personal development space for a while, you'll know that our mind has so much influence on how we live our life, and how the thoughts that we think and the thoughts that we dwell on can also influence what we do, how we act, all those things as well. So when we come to the end of our time together at Base Camp, there's going to be a lot of things that we'll try to pull you in different directions, a lot of temptations perhaps to fall back into old habits. And so if we can build this new, basically like reprogram our brain to think the thoughts that will lead and align with that future version of ourselves, then we can actually embrace, this, the fact that, we're always going to fail at some point, and failure is actually just part of the process. And then approach, failure, or approach life with grace and grit. So that's the essence of it. And it is a group coaching program. So I will talk about like one-to-one coaching another time, but for the Burn Bright Base Camp, we will be doing it in a community. And I've already talked about the importance of a community. We will also extend, what I should say is I will extend my networks to you. So if there's people who are in my space that are doing really amazing things, I will be asking them to kind of come in as a guest speaker as part of the program, so that you can get the good stuff that they're putting out into the world. And the importance of community is that accountability as well. So I know, and Michelle Thornton might know as well, like we have a Slack group as part of the faith activated community that we're part of, and just going in there and checking in actually encourages me to have that accountability to be journaling more regularly. So it's important to be on the journey with people who are like-minded as you are. And therefore, as I use that mountain analogy, you can climb to that next level from base camp for your life, for your work, and your relationships. So, and given that we've talked about Live to Lead as well, right now, if you decide to join the waitlist, so even if you are not sure about it, like this in and of itself is worth it, because joining the waitlist now during the Live Life Well Summit will secure a free ticket to Live to Lead in the event that you sign up for Base Camp. And there will be a bunch of other bonuses on the other side as well. So if that is of interest to you, and this is probably like not the full, full version, like I'm sure there's plenty of other questions as like what date does it start, how much is it going to cost, all those things, they're still in the works. So that's why I'm asking you to join a wait list. And when I have all those details for you, let's have a chat. We can book in a Zoom chat. I'm available to just talk through to see whether or not this is for you. And I'll put the link in the comments here as well, and probably do a post in the Live Life Well movement summit groups. Sorry, not a summit group, Live Life Well movement community group, so that other people who might have missed the live or might not have seen it yet can also just get in on some of those bonuses as well. I will quickly just say that we will be launching next week the program ahead of Black Friday. So if you do decide to sign up before then with me, once the information's out, you will get the better deal. So I'm definitely keeping most of those bonuses for people who are involved in the summit. So just to acknowledge your time with us. And yeah, I'm really excited about this new program and the direction that I feel, being a person of faith, that God is moving me in. And it's exciting to just be part of this journey with you. And thank you for being part of this journey with me. So that comes to the end of our session. Made it just before 1 hour, and I appreciate all the people who've stayed with me all the way through. So again, just quickly for summary in terms of our key points, we talked about building a supportive community and how to do that. We talked about superstar network, and then also some relational boundaries as well. So if you're just joining in live, go back and watch the replay and you can get all that information. And that comes now to the end of day 2. I was like thinking 2. of the Live Life Well Summit. So thank you so much for joining in, everyone. Have a good night, and I will see you bright and early for the session with Amy Bateman from Pleasant State. So it is 7:30, okay? 7:30 a.m. Australian Eastern District Time. So if you're in Queensland, Michelle, it's actually going to be 6:30. So see how you go. Amy herself is based in Queensland, and she said she was fine. She was happy to do it earlier because she's a morning person. So join us then. And we also talked, I talked to Amy today, and she said she's happy to do it as an Instagram live as well. So if you're on Instagram or you know someone on Instagram, this is a great opportunity for them to get a bit of insight into what this summit is about. And we can, of course, welcome them there and answer any questions that they have. So that is all. Make sure you visit our online store. You can get one of these lovely prints. This is the black and white version. You can get that with some foiling, and like you might have already mentioned or know, $3 from any of the sales that we make during the summit time will go towards our charity partner, Destiny Rescue. And if you're looking for the replays and where to get them, I'll be sorting out that link tomorrow, so don't worry about it. And given the fact that I haven't sorted myself out yet, I'm just going to leave Corinne's presentation for tomorrow as well. So if you haven't watched that yet and you'd like to watch it, here's a bonus time that you can actually watch it before I take down the link. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night. I'm past the hour, so thank you for your time. Good night.